Hey everyone, it is that time. It is I, Mark the Movie Man, here for the final cut, and we're taking a look at the film that's finally here after many trailers and promos and featurettes and oh my lord, it's the Amazing Spider-Man 2, folks. Yes, it has hit the big screen finally, and we get to talk about it. It's brought to us by director Mark Webb, who directed the first The Amazing Spider-Man, with Andrew Garfield as the title role of Spider-Man, aka Peter Parker, and we see how he's dealing with the fallout from the first Amazing Spider-Man, the promise he kept to Gwen Stacy's dad, among other things, and we're just seeing how he's dealing with that, plus, how he's growing and trying to deal with keeping his secret identity from his Aunt May, all the while also trying to find the truth about his parents. But things get complicated in his search and his role as Spidey when a new villain appears, Electro, and we come to find out the conditions of how Electro came to be and his major beef with the old Spider-Man. We also add in here Harry Osborn, who's an old childhood friend of Peter Parker's, who, well, we see what happens with him, and there's some conditions involved that cause him to have some conflict with Spidey as well. And then we also have a little sprinkling of Rhino. Folks, The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Now, on the whole, I enjoyed this. This was an action-packed film. There were scenes that kept me on the edge of my seat, and overall, I really enjoyed it. I liked how they did the character arc for Peter Parker and Spider-Man, how they had the growth for his character, which you don't get a lot of in the comic book character films after you get the origin story. So in here we get some growth in our main character, which I really liked, and some conflict in there. And Andrew Garfield does an excellent job with that. Emma Stone in here playing his love interest, Gwen Stacy, loved her role in this as well. And, I really liked her character, seeing her involved and how she came along. And the chemistry between these two was really good. And that's what you wanted. So it was very believable and just a lot of fun to watch. I really enjoyed their scenes together. Jamie Foxx. I love Jamie Foxx. I love Jamie Foxx in nearly everything he's in, and in this one, really great as the Electro character. I mean, they really took this character that from the comics kind of was comical with the big bright star and green tights, and really made him a villain, something to be reckoned with, which I really liked. Now, I do think they went a little overboard maybe with what kind of threat he's in, but I'll get to that in a minute. But overall, loved Jamie Foxx in this and his Electro. Really well done character, and we got a nice development of his character as well. And then you've got Dane DeHaan in here as Harry Osborn, and I liked his performance. I enjoyed his performance and what they did with the Harry Osborn character. The only thing I didn't wish they hadn't done was gone so quickly, and we've seen it in the trailer, so this isn't a spoiler, is the Green Goblin angle with it. I really wish they wouldn't have done it so soon in this film, which leads me to Paul Giamatti in here as Rhino, who we really just get a sprinkling of. And there's some of those other elements in here as well. Sally Field as Aunt May, though, fantastic performance. I loved seeing her back on screen, bringing that veteran acting experience to the Aunt May character. Really just, every scene, I adored her Aunt May, and really fun to see her on the screen in a major role like that. And the dialogue between her and Peter Parker were really well done as well, between Andrew Garfield and her. So loved her scenes. But Paul Giamatti, speaking of Paul Giamatti, and even Dane DeHaan to a certain extent, where they get to the Green Goblin part, I don't know. I really was into this story with Electro. I could have almost done without the Rhino storyline that they were interjecting in here, introducing, okay? And we've seen it from the trailers as well, and we've seen it from many things. This isn't spoiler. We know they're coming out with a Sinister Six film, or they're talking about it. And you can tell this is really a setup film, trying to set things up for a third film, plus the Sinister Six film. And that's what took away from me a little bit, folks, was the fact that it felt so set up. Okay, this felt, I was so into the Electro storyline. I didn't need the Green Goblin part or the Rhino part or the setup of the Sinister Six. That could have almost been a whole nother film altogether with that, but they interjected it in here, and it just had the feeling like, Marvel Studios proper with their world that they're painting. Sony is trying to do the same thing here, but it feels rushed. And maybe that's what took me a little bit away from the enjoyment of this film. While I did like the parts that they had with Harry Osborn and Green Goblin and the hints at more coming. I did enjoy that setup. Don't get me wrong. I just think it felt like it was forced into this storyline, whereas if we could have grown just a little bit with the Electro, trimmed 20 minutes off this film, it would have been even better for me. The 3D distraction was not a 3D distraction. 3D looked beautiful in this, okay? But I think the writing in this, I just wish they hadn't tried to do that. And I know they want to, and I know the reasons behind it, okay? I do. I'm not blind to it, and I understand it. But they had such a rich, deep story with the Electro character and with Peter Parker finding out about his parents. You can interject Harry in there a little bit. Didn't need quite the Green Goblin angle. I think they could have played it a little bit a different way and still got their point across or got to the conclusion that they wanted to, which there are some big things in here. So, in the end, The Amazing Spider-Man 2, from me, gets 3 3/4 stubs. Not quite 4. Only because they did what, a middle film of a possible trilogy does, is really feel like a setup film in certain parts, which is a shame because the rest of the story that they had, the main plot meat of it, was really well done. And while I did enjoy the scenes, I would have enjoyed them more, and I would have enjoyed this film more had those scenes with Harry and Oscorp and the special projects thing, if they would have done that as a separate film or something along that lines, I would have enjoyed this film more. But it took me just a little bit away from it, and I think that's what took away from me giving this a full 4 out of 5 stubs. So 3 3/4 stubs, folks, for The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Still a wonderful time, a great ride, and visual effects off the charts. Great performances and a meaty main plot that you can grab on and enjoy. And you can tell it is going to whet your appetite for the Sinister Six. So go and it's worth it seen on the big screen for sure. Just me personally, there were just a few elements in there that I wish they hadn't done that would have made it even more solid film for me. And that'll about do it for us here at The Final Cut. Till next time, folks, remember, keep that ticket stub.